So yeah, I think that's what's next on the itinerary agenda.
Upcoming. So we've already talked about God of 4, as in using it now, and there's going to be an almost to go back to an earlier question. When will the God of 4 content come out? And it's as simple as when it is stable. And it won't appear immediately.
When it is stable, we can start working on the product.
Yes.
Right. So right now it's not quite there.
Yeah.
Once it's in feature freeze, it's getting closer. Like the beginning of beta is not necessarily, although it might be the beginning of recording, but once it's there, we can start assessing. But the moment we can get you a course that we're comfortable won't radically have to be redone the moment it goes to, release state, then we will.
So we've got the asset packs as well that are part of the action RPG. Those are in production. They're constantly in production because there's quite a few different ones to make. And one of the issues we've got at the moment is, again, God of 4 being stable. So those are going to be assets that we can get ready much quicker than courses, because once we can actually import it and set up materials and things like that without God of crashing, then it'll be something we can actually go through and do. Because our ultimate goal with the asset packs is for Godot users, obviously you'll get the GLTF files and we might export them more universally as an OBJ or something along those lines. But also in Godot, we want you to be able to just pick up and use the resources. So many times we've had the issue where we've used third-party resources and the origin is in the wrong place. So you have to do a load of editing to get things sorted. Not just origin, but other things as well. You end up with them not lining up if you're using them in a grid map and other things like that. So our goal is that you can just bring them in.
Vegas Era.
Good evening.
Speaking of upcoming, should we talk about what I've been working on?
Yes. Yeah. Are you going to share your screen?
Boop. That's my new course image. Do you like my new course image?
I need to share your screen. They won't see it otherwise. Ta-da! So we had a bit of a preview about this, didn't we? Like, must have been like 2 months ago. A few months
back, I worked on the prototype, and I've started now working on the mini course. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because everything is going frozeled. There we go. So for those of you who don't know, that is a course image for Toucy Bubble. Toucy Bubble being a little pixelated puzzle game inspired by Puzzle Bobble, a puzzle game from the 90s, which I really enjoyed and had way too many hours in. And we have a little prototype, and I'm going to make that available for everybody soon. The lifetime members could already play it. The plan with this is, at the moment, I've finished the first section. I've started section 2. I was planning on getting section 2 done today, but I recorded 3 videos. I started editing them. I realized that this microphone was not being used. The webcam microphone was, and it sounded terrible. So I went back and started again. I got 1 video done, and then my landlord appeared in the building next door and started ripping out all the furniture and redoing the floors, which did need to happen. And I can't really be mad about that, but that was my stop again, start again day. And some of you might be thinking to yourself, but Jan, why are you working on this? You've got other things to work on. And there's 2 things I'd say to that. The first is that's a really weird thing to think to yourself. And the second thing is we've been working quite a lot on the God of 4 stuff, but until it's stable, it's very exploratory. So I can't actually produce content. And I want to get a mini course out for people who want to just play, just like we did with Zoo Blocks, just like we did with Tucanaban, which are little mini courses we have. It's a 3-4 hour course that you can just make a little simple game and learn a bunch of stuff. And in this course, we're going to be doing some fun things, especially playing a lot with set gets. Shall I bring up a copy of Toucy Bubble?
Yes, that'd be good to see what it is that we were just talking about.
Okay,
and here's a black screen. When Jan shares his screen, it will appear.
I'm waiting for Godot to open.
You're waiting for Godot?
I'm waiting for Godot. Bubbles, here we go. And you go over here. All right, sharing my screen.
3, 2, 1. Ta-da!
Okay. I'm also going to use my controller.
Hey! Okay, it's now visible.
And I don't think you've got the sound, have you?
I don't hear any sound, no.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to turn the music off. So let's start a new game with, how many colors should we do? 10 colors.
All the colors. Well, do you want to
Okay.
one of the things that we taught to you guys about as well on the stream at the time was that this isn't necessarily great for colorblind people. So
Oh,
we
we
added
should put
in
it in
that,
colorblind mode.
yes, we should pop the symbols in.
Symbols mode. There we go. So the idea is this is a match 3. So I've got a little triangle black one there. So I've got one here, the next one there, and away they go. So you want to match as many of these as possible. Bubbles will bounce off the side and stick to the roof and to other bubbles. Anytime you have a bubble that is, let me see if I can actually set one up. Yeah, we could do it right here. So this red bubble is being held up by this brown bubble. So if I can make this shot, extra points. And that's the game. Now, the original Puzzle Bubble, not Bubble Bubble, that was
A different game.
platform game.
Yep.
Yep.
Man, I enjoyed that game.
Was a 1 or 2 player game with levels that got harder and harder. Every 10 shots, the entire thing will drop. And we have little panda friend next to us who is feeding us bubbles about as annoyingly as possible. There's a couple of other rules to know. Panda friend won't send out colors that are no longer on the screen. So if you manage to clear all the red ones off, for example, you don't have to see any more. And if you clear all of them, you win. And if they go below that black line, you don't.
And there's some interesting things that are to learn during this, especially the one that stood out to me was the fact that this isn't a grid. This is everything's based on like a hexagon. Is that right?
Yes, we are using a tile map with an X offset on every other row. So we've made a little hex grid, which actually takes a little bit of code to make work, because when we're scanning neighboring bubbles to make sure do they match, we need to use a different set of values for what does neighboring mean every other row. So even rows and odd rows need different values for that. Also, the bubble here is a rigid body until it hits the tile map, at which point it gets deleted and turned into a tile until it's ready to be removed, at which case it gets deleted and turned into a particle. Oops, that's the wrong one. I messed it up. That was about to be a really good shot. I'm a baboon. So let's just pretend that didn't happen. And here's my particle. There we go. So we're doing quite a lot behind the scenes. And if we take a look at some of the stuff that's happening, let's go to scripts and let's go to, let's say, the level, right? So we're using a bunch of signals. We don't actually have what I was going to look at here. Let's go to bubbles. Here we go. We're using set gets, setters and getters. Each bubble has a type, which is its color, its symbol. And what's happening is when we send through a new value, so we say type equals 3, for example, that's going to go set get change color, which is now a function. So there's a function where I can define exactly what this means. In this case, I want the type to change, and I'm going to set the sprite frame to that. So there's a lot of little things we're doing so that we can use as few resources as possible. And when I say as few resources as possible, if I go to sprites, I think it is, and I scroll down to, where's my bubbles? Bubble sprite sheet. That sprite sheet is all of the bubbles. So every time you fire a bubble as a rigid body, every time it gets set as a cell, it's that one graphic. And we're using individual frames or individual regions to define rigid bodies or tile map values, respectively. So yeah, there's a lot going on here that we can learn. It's a fun little system. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. Boop.
And we're back.
Didn't warn Mikey. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, the plan is to get that out to our lifetime members, probably by the end of this week. I want to get a little bit more stuff in there for them to get their teeth into. And then shortly after that to everyone else, because it's not going to be a very long course. There will probably be some things I need to re-record. But yeah, if you're wondering, hang on, if I kickstarted the early access pack, how come I'm not on there? Because this is not part of the God of War Action RPG. So this is not in there. But yeah, so the lifetime members will get a quick early access thing because that's part of the lifetime promise.
Yep.
If you want to buy lifetime, by all means do so. You can go to www.canopy.games and click on lifetime and buy like 6 or 7 of them. It's fine. I don't mind.
I'm Michael, and I approve this statement.
I have bills to pay.